Hello, and welcome to another episode of Enter the Minds of Nadine and Vera podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today for another episode. Mom, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well today. Had a good week, and how are you doing?
I'm good. It's Friday, so I'm off of work. So I'm happy to be with you guys in the audience, and thank you for always continuing to listen.
And we hope that you're doing well.
Before we get started on our episode today, we wanted to just talk about some things that been happening in the past couple of weeks for us. Today, we're going to be talking about discussing mental, physical health, and self-care. And it just reminded me that a couple of weekends ago, me, Mom, and William, we went down to Chipley, Florida, which is a small little town, to go see the waterfalls. And so what was cool about the waterfalls,
Had the sinkholes
yes, the waterfall went down into a sinkhole.
like 78 feet.
It was, I think, 73 feet. So it was
Oh,
like the tallest waterfall in Florida, which is pretty cool. And then they had other sinkholes as well that didn't have a waterfall. So that was a good experience. We just drove up and, there's a picnic area, there's a butterfly area.
And what was really sweet about it is my grandson drove us, and just being together, the three of us, was really nice.
Yeah, so I just say that to say, being out in nature, going to do things with your family, that's going to be part of what we're talking about today, self-care. I think that helps with your mental health as well. And it was nice because, like Mom said, William drove us and then we went to breakfast afterwards. So spending time with your teenagers are always a blessing.
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing I want to do is define mental health. Mental health is a state of mental well-being and enables people to cope with the stresses of life, realizing their abilities, learn well, and work well, and contribute to their community. Mom, how important is mental health to you?
Mental health is everything to me because, you start very young working hard, especially me, to be the best that you could be, and you think about everything except yourself. So now that I'm retired, I realize that mental health is very much a part of living. I didn't really begin to live until I started paying attention to my mental health.
And I think that's so important when you start to pay attention, and that it's okay to pay attention to your mental health and do what you need to do to protect that. I think when you're younger, it starts out as a kid, and like parents could say, "Oh, you're fine. You're just a kid. You don't have any worries, any problems." But
That's not true.
that's not true. Kids have stresses. They have their own type of stresses, and so um, this just got me realizing when I was 10 years old, I wanted to stay home, and Mom asked me, was I sick? And I said, no, I just didn't want to go to school. And she was going to make me go, but my dad said, let her have a mental health day. You remember that?
Yes, I do. And he said, don't you dare make my children go to school every day.
Right. So even though I didn't go to school, I still had to go to work with her. But, it was a mental health because I didn't have to think about classes and subjects and all of that stuff. So, and even as a mother, I had to learn that as well. I used to try to push my kids because I'm like, you might miss something important. But sometimes everybody needs a mental health day. So,
yes.
Some mental health symptoms can include changes in your mood, thoughts, and behaviors. Some examples of mood changes include feeling sad, hopeless, or depressed. You can have extreme mood changes. You can feel irritable and angry and feel anxious and anxiety.
And the thing about mental health symptoms, at first you don't realize that's what's happening to you.
Mm-hmm.
You need someone else to help you along with that. Now, people are quick to say that, oh, you're in a bad mood or whatever, but it may not be just a bad mood. It may be a sign, a symptom that maybe you need some help with your mental status.
And I think the main thing is not to be ashamed if you have some mental health issues, because most of the people in the world have some type of form of mental health issues, and it doesn't have to be this dramatic, drastic thing. I battle with anxiety. I have anxiety. I always say I might look calm on the outside, but sometimes on the inside, I am very anxious. I get stressed. Um, sometimes when I'm in a lot of pain, I feel depressed. I don't think that I'm a depressive person, but certain situations can make you feel down and out. And just learning your triggers and, maybe you need a moment to take a deep breath and maybe just go somewhere and sit alone by yourself and give yourself time to calm down. That helps me. So,
Well, for me, for many, many years, I would boldly say, "Oh, I don't get depressed,"
mhm,
and that's because I wasn't able to identify what the depression was. And like Vera said, you may get depressed. The difference is at some point you are able to snap out of it. But if you get depressed and it's a long period of time, then you really need to seek help. Now, back in the day, in the military, people didn't want to admit to what they were going through because they were afraid that they would be, you know, dismissed from the military. And I remember my girlfriend and I, Sharita, we were going through our debrief physical after being deployed. And the doctor joked with both of us, or at least we took it as a joke, that we probably had PTSD. And I would say, yeah, well, I'm a functioning nutty buddy. But it was something that we just did not want to submit to because, we felt that it would be frowned upon. And back in the day it would have been, but not today. If you need someone to talk to, you should seek help. And the main thing about, let me say this, seeking someone to talk to. I don't know about everyone else, but there are things that goes on in my head that I would not want to share with my daughter or son or family for the simple reason I didn't want them to feel sad or depressed because of what I was going through. I had to be that strong person because they looked up to me, which leaves me not really co-workers because I never really related that deeply to anyone without feeling like they'll just hold it against me. So you're by yourself. And when you find yourself with no one to talk to for good and bad reasons, then that's a dangerous place to be.
yeah, so it is good to have someone, if you can trust them to talk to. Like, I feel comfortable enough um, talking to my mom about things, my daughter, but sometimes you have to sit in it in yourself first and realize, why are you having anxiety? Why are you depressed? And sometimes it's hard to figure that out. So sometimes you do need to go to a therapist, and they have a real way of simplifying things and bringing out the causes that could be concerning for you. And then if therapy doesn't work, sometimes people need medications for anxiety, depression, and there's nothing wrong with that either. Um, so mom had mentioned PTSD, so we're just gonna, that's a part of mental health as well.
Well, let me just go back to mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I want my audience to know that I have had the weekly uh, mental health sessions. And matter of fact, my psychiatrist, which I only talk to every 6 months to make sure I'm doing okay, um, just set me up to have some more sections. So I'm not talking to you as if something I read about or whatever. I'm telling you, being able to talk to a therapist, and like Tanya said, they have ways of bringing things out of you that you forgot was even there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's therapeutic to have someone to talk to and tell you, you know what, that's normal, or do this exercise or that exercise. Because I too suffer from anxiety and fear of just being around a bunch of people. Why? In the military, and people are dangerous. And to me, America is more dangerous than being deployed because you can't recognize the enemy. You don't know who might be a psychopath or thinking whatever they thinking. So I'm walking around looking at people like, should I move to the left side of the grocery aisle? Because and that's not a way to live. So you have to have someone to talk you through those type of situations.
And that is sad that that's the world we live in today. I mean, I really wish it was simple, simple life. We just all loved one each other, just wanted to be happy for each other. But that's just simply not how the world is and not how everyone is.
But it's biblical, so.
Yeah. So PTSD is not just related to war, but it could be related to other events like 9/11, COVID. A lot of our kids, well, my kids, your grandkids are going to have PTS from COVID. People cough and people get stressed out about, you know, could they possibly be sick, or they have those memories of people who had COVID, um, who tragically, a lot of them lost their lives as well in 9/11.
And I say to you, you have PTSD. You have PTSD. I have PTSD. I mean, like 9/11 definitely gave the majority of us PTSD. And even before 9/11, we had the Oklahoma bombing. And then we had, on a smaller scale, but not small by any case, when someone shot up a McDonald's in California. That still crossed my mind at times, where I got to the point where I told my husband I don't want to go to any fast restaurant. Um, you have people like me, and even my son, never been in the military, who do not sit with our backs to the door unless the person sitting in front of us can protect us, because we all have PTSD, and COVID definitely. Um, no one is shooting at you, but really all the people that passed from it, or maybe COVID didn't kill them, but COVID weakened their body to the point where they passed away. And so, yeah, you can't even get sick or have a cough without worrying about, is it contagious? And now we got measles. Come on now. PTSD is real for everyone. They just, kind of related it more so on a larger scale to the military because of soldiers going through being shot at or watching their buddies, get killed or whatever and things like that. But believe me, yeah, probably have PTSD as well.
Well, mom was in the military for 41 years and has been overseas several times. She's been to Kuwait 3 times.
No, 6.
You've been to Kuwait 6 times?
Yes.
Okay. Well, she's been to Kuwait a lot, and I remember one particular time, after you came back when the kids were really little, you came back, and before you had to go back to work, you had maybe a month off in between. And do you want to do you feel comfortable sharing your experience when you first came back from Kuwait?
When I first came back from Kuwait, I didn't realize how hard it hit my children, but I just wanted to be alone. I didn't want to be around anyone, not even my family. So I would come out and say hi or whatever, but I stayed to myself in my room. I was very, very withdrawn. And when I got ready to be deployed the second time, my daughter was crying, and I said, Tanya, I'll be okay. And she was like, but mom, when you came back, and she explained to me how it affected them, how I was so withdrawn. So after that, I forced myself after deployments to, just kind of mix it up a little bit more, but it was still there. And then being a warrant officer and being a cautious person and suspicious person and knowing that you can't really trust people. When I was deployed, basically I was by myself. It was me, the videos my children sent to me, and the only time I really would be around other people was at work or PT, because it just wasn't a good idea to be, hanging out with anyone, whether they were superiors, co-workers, or subordinate. It was just not a good idea. So I would go a year long being by myself and then come home and had people who was excited that I was home, but I really didn't want to be around anyone. It took me a minute.
It takes an adjustment to get back into your normal routine after being deployed, right?
Yes, it takes a lot.
Yeah. So some suggestions when you talk to someone with PTSD, if you know they have it, is just be willing to listen, but don't push them, don't force them to talk. Um, recognize when they need a break. So like if you feel like they're struggling, trying to tell you what they want to tell you, it's okay to take a break and come back to the conversation.
Yes.
And get help if talk of suicide occurs. PTSD could be not simple, but it could be on the small range and it could be on a very severe range. So just know that if you have someone that's suffering from PTSD, try to get them help, try to talk to them about getting help, but just take it very seriously.
And I can tell you this, every time you go to therapy, they're going to ask you, do you feel like harming yourself or whatever? My answer is, I used to tease that, no, I'm not suicidal, I'm homicidal. But today my psychiatrist asked me the same questions, and I said, no, I'm not suicidal, and I don't want to hurt anyone else. Um, I want to live. But at the same time, there are many people out there that feel like suicide is an escape, but it's not an escape. If you can get up the next day, then each day that you get up, things will get better. They can't get better if you take your own life. And then when you take your own life, you're not just taking your life, you're taking the life of your loved ones because they're left behind wondering, what could I have done? Or is this the answer? So, whenever you feel that way, we have a hotline that we're going to give to you at the end of the program. You talk to someone, talk to anyone, and just don't be alone.
Why don't you give it to them now?
Okay, the National Mental Health Hotline number is 1-866-903-3787. It's free, it's confidential, and it's 24 hours. So you can call them, no one will know that you called, and just talk to someone. And, it really will help. Uh, I just, I'm thankful that, in this nation, they are smart enough to have things like that is free
Right.
for you to reach out to. You don't have to go it alone.
And I will say that I had PTSD after my dad Terry died, to the point where like I still wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and just kind of like go through the events of how he passed away. And I was actually in the room when they were resuscitating him, which I know I'm a nurse, but nobody should see their parent being resuscitated on. And that was very traumatic for me. I mean, I cried like every day for 6 months almost. And it still haunts me. Like, could I have done something different? Could I have done something better to help? He went to I called 911 to get him an ambulance on that Friday, but maybe I should have forced him to go in earlier. So I that's still traumatic for me. And so when I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes I have to say, no, not right now, not today. And just try to like take some deep breaths and try to revert myself to, like, I'm allowed myself memories of the good times I had with him, the times we had sat on the couch and talked and all the good memories. And I try to block. Well, it's not good to always block the bad memories out, but I know that I don't need to obsess about his last moments. So that was very traumatic.
And see, Tanya, I didn't know you woke up every day like that. See, it's about talking to someone that's professional because there are things you don't share with your loved one, even though you're close to them, because you don't want to make them sad for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I too, I wasn't there, but it was pretty descriptive
Mm-hmm.
and you had set it up when we were on the phone, but I can't imagine what you went through. I just remember thinking how strong you were, even though you felt weak, and I felt helpless because I was in Tallahassee and you were there
Right.
by yourself actually for a couple of days before we could even get there. But, a lot of prayer got us through it, but you were stronger than you still don't believe that you were strong, but you were
Well,
very
I know
strong.
that was God holding me together and holding me
Yes.
up. And, what is that saying? Like when he carries you when you need it, and definitely at that
Yeah,
moment he was carrying me.
the
So
footstep in the sand.
I love that.
Yes.
So moving right along before I start crying is how to strengthen your mental health. There's some ways you can. Number one is getting regular exercise. They say that when you exercise, that gives your body like a rejuvenation and it helps your mental health. And number two is eating healthy, regular meals and staying hydrated. Making sleep a priority. Now that's the hard one because, it is important to get they say 8 hours. I'm okay with as long as I get 5 hours, but anything less than that, my mental health, you don't think straight. Um, if so, if you're not thinking clearly, that'll frustrate you and have your day not going well. You could try a relaxing activity.
Such as I put a 1,000-piece puzzle together. And really, to be honest, even though the TV's on, I'm thinking about nothing else but looking for the piece that I need to put on the puzzle. And I don't even let that stress me out. I say to myself, if I find 5 pieces a day, I'm happy.
Right. That's good. You could set goals and priorities. Practice gratitude. That's important. Just, practicing gratitude and just the little things. I say thank you, God, and just the little things can make you happy and make, just change your attitude and your thoughts for the day. And you want to focus on positivity and stay connected. Some people try meditating. That's very hard for me because I'm an overthinker, but it's good to try, deep breathing, so find what helps you and do that to help your mental health. So next we're going to talk about self-care. Self-care means taking the time to do the things that help you live well and improve both your physical health and mental health. So mental health, physical health, and self-care is like it all ties together. By doing self-care, it also is helping with your whole well-being, your whole body. So, Ma, what do you do for self-care?
Okay, my self care really started when you guys were teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I could only afford to get my nails done. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm retired and everything is, laid out, I have my facials every 6 weeks because I love having clear skin. My nails and my pedicure, I get the massage pedicure, the spa pedicure, because when I'm getting my nails done and my spa pedicure, not only is it relaxing the way that they work on you, but I just feel so much better when my nails are together. It's just something about having those two things done. I used to get my hair done, but now that I'm natural, I just kind of take care of it myself, but it's still self-care. Right. And, keeping it oiled and combed and braided or whatever, trying to grow my edges and stuff like that. But self-care comes with also just feeling good about yourself, just being nice and clean and,
doing what makes you happy.
What makes you happy that is only connected to you.
Exactly. It's important even if you have a family, kids, husband, wife. If you don't do what's something just for you, then you're not gonna have that mental well-being, physical well-being. So it's important, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. If that's all you have, just take the 5 minutes and do something just for you.
So, Vera, what do you do?
Well, people are going to laugh, but my self-care is really watching TV. That relaxes my brain. Like I said before, I have anxiety. I'm an overthinker. I think about things that don't even make sense or not even in my day-to-day life, but my mind wanders. So when I watch TV, it gets me out of my own head. It relaxes me, and that's what I love to do. Also, just going to the beach is awesome, traveling, but the beach specifically is like when I'm not a big swimmer, but when I'm sitting on the beach, in a chair, looking out into the ocean, I have so much gratitude to the Lord. And I'm just so thankful. Like, wow, we live in such a beautiful world. And I always say that, something so massive, but just the ocean that could just take over all of us and kill us, and in one swoop, it's held back, and um, it's beautiful, it's scary, and it's just being at the beach and looking out in the ocean. Just I feel like I can just that's when I feel closest to God by not necessarily church, but I feel like I'm one with God and able to tell Him. Well, here He knows my deepest, darkest thoughts, but I just feel connected, and I do feel like my brain, my mind is restored. I feel a sense of re-energizing energy when I go to the beach.
So what I'd like to share with you is a quick story, because I want you to know that I don't talk about things that I probably haven't experienced myself. So I'm talking to all your single parents and whether you male or female. Here's my story. You don't realize that you don't take care of yourself until little things happen. So this particular year, my son was staying with his dad in Texas, Terry Sr., and Tanya was with me in Baton Rouge. So before that, whenever I would go shopping, I would put 5 things in the buggy, 5 or 6 outfit in the buggy for Terry, 5 or 6 outfit in the buggy for Tanya, 2 pair of shoes, whatever. So since Terry wasn't there, I took Tanya shopping, and I noticed that I was putting 5 or 6 outfit in the buggy for Tanya and 5 or 6 outfit in the buggy for myself. But to make the long story short, I looked in my drawer because I've always been the type person that enjoyed having like at least 2 drawers of underwear.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because when I was younger, a classmate of mine, mom would always give me underwear for birthday or Christmas or whatever, because she worked at the factory. So I always had plenty of underwear. And I looked in my drawer, and I barely had underwear, and I had had them for years. I didn't even buy underwear for myself because I was so busy, buying stuff for my children because my children come first. Well, I don't mean to gross you out, but even little things like buying underwear for yourself or a new hair comb or a barrette or whatever, those things are important. That's part of your self care too. And I know that as parents, we get so deeply involved in it's about the children, but you can't make them happy unless you happy. So every now and then you need to do things or buy things just for you.
Yes, and sometimes it's as simple as just taking a nice bath, maybe reading a book while you're in the bathtub and locking the door so no one but you and come in. So yeah, just do something today, one thing today to help with your self-care. Whatever that is, whatever you enjoy, try to do that today. Okay? Um, Staying away from things that could affect your mental health is also a form of self-care.
Yes, Tanya, because I just told my psychiatrist today when she asked me if I wanted to set up some more therapy section. I told her yes because I just want someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
But I told her that the last lady, when I finished my section, she tried to um, include me into group therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And I quit because I realized that I'm not good at group therapy. I ended up helping her with the group because those individual was really, really worse off than me. My little issues were nothing compared to what they were going through. But what I found out or discovered was I was bringing their grief or whatever they were going through home with me.
Right. Which is not good.
So that meant I was taking on their stress, and I was able to realize that from the sessions that I had had before. And I was like, no, group therapy is not for me because I don't want to have anything happen in my life that I can control that will disturb my peace.
Amen to that. So, and then sometimes it's also maybe you need to not cut a friend out of your life, but maybe set them to the side. Like sometimes friends and maybe even family can affect your mental health. And if you realize that when you're around that person, they're stressing you out more than they're making you happy, sometimes you need to put boundaries on your family and friends. which is very hard to do. But your mental health is what matters most, right?
Yeah, and then sometimes you don't have to put them aside, but you can tell them politely, no, you know what? I'm not really interested in that because I'm trying not to have any drama in my life, so I can't stress over what's going on in someone else's life if I don't have control over it,
Yeah.
It's not that I don't care. It's like I'm really, really into guarding my peace.
Hmm.
And I really do not want drama in my life. Now, if drama happens with my immediate family, siblings, uncles, children, whatever, I want to save my energy so I can deal with that. I don't have energy to deal with the outside world.
Right.
It's for reserved for the family. And so far, it's been good.
God is good.
Yes, he is all the time.
Some other self-care activities include spending time outside. For me, it's the beach, but it could be as simple as taking a walk. They say that when you take a walk in nature or just outside, it does help calm your body. It can help reduce blood pressure. It can help reduce stress, anxiety. So just taking a walk outside by yourself, you can listen to a podcast, you can listen to music, but getting that sun as well is very important for your physical well-being as well.
And the beach is it for me. For years, I could just get swim. Don't necessarily want to get in the water, but I could sit there and look at the ocean all day.
Right. And the funny thing is, I said the beach was always my favorite place, but then we went to the mountains and I'm like, wow, I could be a mountain girl. So I think for me is whenever I'm able to sit somewhere and look at God's beautiful nature, the beautiful mountains, like that what makes me happy to see all the beautiful things that we have in this world and just try to capture it in my brain as like a picture because it's just so beautiful. And looking out into God's nature, I just,
And for me lately, just planting seeds and watching God grow them for me.
Mom has been so excited. Mom and Deborah's been so excited about their garden. And, last week she asked me why I didn't help, but just seeing her garden grow is amazing. I guess it's a miracle. Maybe it's amazing. I don't know. But, that's the little things that we can appreciate. Thank you for God allowing us to grow into something so beautiful. Taking a nap. Oh, I used to love my naps back in the day. Like that would be like a reset, like something is going wrong. Take a nap and then you can restore your energy and get up. And when I work 12-hour shifts, I'll be like, okay, the kids are going to be home at 3 o'clock. Let me take a quick nap so that way I have enough energy for them and be all in. So you have to know your body. And I have fibromyalgia, which that's going to be a whole episode by itself. But I know what I need to do for my body to help my body stay well for the most part. And when I overdo it, or even if I underdo it, it can affect my body. So, but yeah, taking a nap used to be one of the things that I used to love doing.
Yes.
Turning off your phone.
Do you really turn off your phone?
Mom silenced her phone. So she's good at silencing her phone. But the thing is, then when I need to call her, she might not answer when I'm at work. Yeah. But she silences all the scam callers because doesn't that affect your mental health when you're trying
really, really get on my nerves.
Yes.
But then it causes me to miss important calls. So for the most part, I try to look at my phone often, but then if I decide to take a nap, which is rare, but I'm usually really exhausted if I take a nap in the afternoon and I'll literally sleep all night. I silence my phone because that's even double nerve-wracking when it rings and I'm trying to sleep. So, yeah.
Well, yes, and so when the kids were little, I would never silence my phone because I'm like, what if they call me from school? What if they need me? But they're adults now, and then they know, like, if they call me and don't answer, they know they're calling Nana next, and Nana's going to track me down. Or
that's what your brother do. If he can't reach me, he call you.
So now they're adults. I still feel a little guilty by turning the silence off, but I'm like, well, they'll be able to contact somebody, and they'll be fine. So yeah, turning off your phone sometimes and being in the moment. I had to learn too, like, I'm a picture person. I love pictures of the kids. My family gets annoyed that I take too many pictures, But now lately I've been taking less. And now my mom's like, well, you didn't take a picture today. So I'm learning not to overdo it. But I had to tell myself, I used to tell the kids when they were little, let me take one good picture at the beginning of our trip or the day or whatever, wherever we were, and then I'll leave you alone. And they usually cooperated. Let me take my one or two pictures and then I will leave them alone. But being in the moment with your children, your family, that can improve your mental health because you're actually being in the moment versus taking pictures or recording. So just,
Yes.
learning what, you need to learn. Spending time with your pet. So the dogs, you don't realize how much your pets are important to your kids, especially. Kayla is a dog person through and through. William is a dog person through and through. And Charlie is Kayla's dog, and Charlie is just like Kayla. And George is William's dog, and George is just like William. They have like their personalities. If you say, go to bed, George, George knows to go to William's room, and even though they're a package and they do like to be together, they know who their owners are, which is amazing. And I love, well, when we first got Charlie, Kayla was 10, and I used to be like, well, he can't sleep in my bed. He can't get on my bed. I used to didn't pet him enough. And he used to tell me, you need to pet him. And still to this day, if we're on the couch and Charlie gets next to me, I can see Kayla out the side of her eye, seeing if I'm going to pet Charlie. But, you know, the dogs grow on you, and they know when you're happy, they know when you're sad, and they just come and curl up next to you. And it's like, how can you not fall in love with the dog? And even mom was like, I don't know about, the dogs, but Terry Jr. was the same way. It's like, as soon as you get a dog, they just take over your world, they take over your heart, and they're such a blessing. I mentioned meditating, reading a book, and that means either reading a book or even listening to an audiobook. William loves listening to audiobooks, and he listens to it as he goes to sleep. So I guess that helps relax his brain for him to go to sleep. Listening to music, which mom loves to do. Um, Podcasts. It says drinking plenty of water.
It's like Gatorade.
Gatorade is fine. Just don't overdo anything. I guess you can't overdo everything, but just a lot of people say your body is your temple, so you need to like protect your temple at all
God
costs.
said your body is your temple.
So we need to treat our bodies like God would treat his. And so that's from head to toe. So you want to start with your mental health. You want to start with your physical well-being, your spiritual well-being. And so this is not on the list, but, going to church. Or if you don't go to church, listening to or reading the Bible or listening to ministries online can also help restore your soul and your mental well-being. Right?
Right.
Any last words?
Well, the quotes.
Yes. So the first quote is, love yourself first. I guess that kind of reminds me, I'm not finished with the quote, but when you're on the airplane, they said, when the things come down, if the plane is going down, you need to take care of yourself before you can take care of your child, before you put on your mask, before you put on your child's mask, because if you're unconscious, how are you going to help them? So this quote reminds me of that. Love yourself first, and everything else falls in line. You really have to love yourself to get anything done in this world. And that's a quote from Lucille Ball.
And my quote is, as you grow older, you will discover that you have two hands, one for helping yourself and the other for helping others. Maya Angelou.
That's beautiful. So take care of yourself first, and then you can help take care of others. Do something today to help, or figure out what, if you don't already have things that you plan on doing weekly for self-care, try to figure that out, what you like and what you can afford to do, and do that.
And again, the National Mental Health Hotline is 866-903-3787. It's free, it's confidential, and it's 24 hours.
And hopefully listening to our podcast helps your mental health. And, please send your thoughts and your questions to us to help us improve, because, we're here for you guys and we want to get better. And we just love talking to you guys. And hopefully we're a good outlet It's helping our mental health just doing this together. It's fun. We enjoy doing it. We love discussing our topics that we're going to discuss. So you can follow us on Spotify, Inner the Minds of Nadine and Vera podcast, and also on YouTube. Search Nadine and Vera Scaniers on YouTube, and you can watch our videos.
And our email address is
Our email address is nadine.vera@myyahoo.com. You can send us your questions there as well, and we will answer your questions on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
and remember, you are invited to be a guest at any time and talk about any subject you want. We would love to have you.
Yes. Thank you for joining us. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.